Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the February 10th, 2025 regular council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Consolmagno?
Here.
Ms. Kamenecki called in. She has an excused absence. Mr. Oakes?
Here.
Mr. Sensi called in. He has an excused absence. Mr. Janasak?
Here.
Mr. Jenkins?
Here.
Mr. Espinor?
Here.
Ms. Garris?
Here.
Ms. Flynn?
Here.
7 members present. Could we please now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Okay, now I'd like to turn to chair announcements. We held an executive session January 27th and February 10th for real estate matters. And now we'd like to turn to Mr. Consolmagno and nominations for boards and commissions.
I move that we appoint Brad Flume for a term on the Planning and Zoning Commission that will expire on 12/31/2025.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Consolmagno, a second from Mr. Janasak, that we appoint Brad Flume for a term on the Planning and Zoning Commission that will expire 12/31/2025. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oakes?
Yes.
Mr. Janasak?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinor?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
7-0, motion carries.
I move that we appoint Clarence Hornak for a term on the Civil Service Commission that will expire on 12/31/2026.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Consolmagno, a second from Mr. Janasak, that we appoint Clarence Hornak for a term on the Civil Service Commission that will expire on 12/31/2026. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oakes?
Yes.
Mr. Janasak?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinor?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Consolmagno.
I move that we accept the resignation of Elizabeth Webb from the Shade Tree Commission.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Consolmagno and a second from Mr. Espinor that we accept the resignation of Elizabeth Webb from our Shade Tree Commission. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oakes?
Yes.
Mr. Janasak?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinor?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Consolmagno.
I move to accept the resignation of Michael Janasek from the Parks and Recreation Board.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Consolmagno and a second from Mr. Jenkins that we accept the resignation of Michael Janasak from our Parks and Recreation Board. Any questions or comments? Mr. Janasak is now on our municipal authority. Thank you very much, Mr. Janasak. Ms. Denny, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oakes?
Yes.
Mr. Janasak?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinor?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Anything else, Mr. Consolmagno? Thank you very much. Now I'd like to turn to the library report. And I'd like to say my family enjoyed the Family STEM Day this Saturday.
Oh, good. Glad to hear. I'll pass that on. My name is Christine. I'm the director of Your Public Library, where we provide opportunities to explore, learn, create, and connect. Just have a few quick things tonight. I just submitted data for new students in the district in grades 7 through 12 as part of our Student Library Card initiative. This is the third year that the public library is providing full access physical library cards to students in the school district. The program will be expanded to include grades K through 5 and then also grade 6 when the new elementary center opens in the fall of 2026. This initiative is county-wide throughout Allegheny County and includes 15 school districts and their corresponding local public library. I wanted to say thank you to those who attended and participated in our Bourbon, Bean, and Vino plus Chili Cook-Off that was held on Saturday, February 1st at the Community Center. We had 15 chili cooks, 5 beverage vendors. We had 165 people in attendance. And our Chili Cook-Off People's Choice winners were third place for the Bethel Park Police Department. Thank you, Amber.
Maybe our detective should look into that.
Second place winners were Joe and Shannon Villani from the Bethel Park School District, and our first place winner with his barbecue brisket chili was Dan Knorr from Become Better Sports and Personal Training. So thank you to everyone that came and those who cooked and participated. Thank you. We had a net income of just under $2,700, which will be divided equally among the 4 organizations that comprise the Bethel Park Fantastic Four charities. So it's the Community Foundation, the Education Foundation, the Historical Society, and the library. And we will be doing it again next year. And just one announcement, the library will be closed on Monday, February 17th for President's Day, but we will see you Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. That is all.
Any questions or comments? Thank you very much. Okay, now we'd like to change to the police chief's announcements, and Chief Arnold.
Good evening, everyone. It's a special night for the police department tonight as we are going to present our annual Officer of the Year awards. We couldn't do this without the Bethel Park Meritorious Award Association that puts this together, along with our secretary in the police department, Becky Jones. A lot of work goes into this, and it's a very nice award, and we're grateful that they spend the time and the community provides the resources for us to have this award every year. So without further ado, we'd like to present the officers. In third place, we have Officer Amber DeFranco. Amber is a 2-year veteran of the department, and she is currently assigned as our community resource officer. She's been doing a lot of great things. She just took over that position this past July, and since then it's been a little bit of a whirlwind for her, so, but she's doing a great job. Next we have second place Officer Jorge Zarate. Jorge is one of our midnight officers, and he is in his 3rd year with us, and he's been doing a lot of good work on midnight, keeping the community safe. So we're very proud of the things that Jorge's been accomplishing for us. And last but not least, the first place award winner this year is Officer Ross Small. Ross is also in his 2nd year. He works on the 3 to 11 shift, and he's been doing an outstanding job on the 3 to 11 shift, which is usually one of our busiest shifts. So we're very proud of all 3 officers, and they've done a wonderful job, and they're a fine example of what Bethel Park Police represents. So congratulations. You guys want to talk? Good job. Thank you. All right, moving on. So with Valentine's Day just around the corner, we decided to come up with some tips for those that might be out there looking for a Valentine this year. Oftentimes we find people find themselves in a romantic scam or a scheme to defraud them. In these types of scams, victims believe that they are in a trusting relationship and can be easily tricked into sending money or personal information to the scammer. The scam typically begins with a fake online identity, and they seem very caring and believable. They will gain the victim's trust by gathering information on them through social media. And here are some safety tips to stay safe. Refrain from sharing too much personal information. Only use reputable dating and meetup sites. Do a reverse image search to see if any of their photos have been used on other profiles. Beware of tactics to isolate you from friends and family. And lastly, never send money, cryptocurrency, or gift cards to anyone you've only communicated with online or by phone. So good luck to all those that are looking for a Valentine. Hopefully those tips help you. Okay, moving on. Solicitation, we just added to our social media. We're going to be starting to post approved solicitor permits on our sites. This will inform the residents of who has been issued a permit and the time period that it's valid. As always, solicitors are provided with a copy of our ordinance and the no-knock list. If a solicitor knocks on your door and you are on the no-knock list, please contact the police department at 412-833-2000. If you don't let us know, we can't investigate it and deal with them appropriately. Some upcoming events we have is watch out for our Valentine's Day duck hunt. There will be a gift card for Luciano's Pizza given to the winner that finds the duck. And again, follow our social media for info on upcoming community events, including a new Canine for the Day event in March. And this will benefit local rescue dogs. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Chief, I had a question for you.
Yes, sir.
On the solicitation, are there any groups that are exempt from having to file with us?
Yes, religious, political, and charitable groups, they are exempt from the permit.
So this is like anyone that would, remodelers and that stuff?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
that's
They
what
would
we're
have to
trying to-
come to the station and apply for a permit and get that permit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chief, and thanks for the officers and their dedication. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, any questions for the chief? Okay, hearing none, could we have the fire chief's report and Captain Jonathan Mark?
Good evening, everyone. For the month of January, we ran 5 structure fires, 1 cooking fire, 1 trash fire, 1 motor vehicle accident with injuries, 3 gas leaks, 1 chemical hazard with no spill or leak, 1 CO incident, 6 electrical problems, 1 water leak, 2 smoke investigations, assisted the police once, 7 calls canceled en route, 24 fire alarms, and 6 CO alarms totaling 60 calls. The note I have here today is, we've had several calls in the last month with the cold weather where people have gone out of town. I don't blame them. But they turn their thermostat all the way down. The pipes will freeze, and then whenever it starts to warm up and everything, the ice will thaw, the house will start leaking, and they're out of town, so they don't see it. So a neighbor or somebody driving by will see it, and by that time, it's too late. So a couple tips here: leave the heat turned on. Some don't turn it and don't turn it down to 55, or get a smart thermostat and keep an eye on the temperature here so you can control it from wherever you're at. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Captain. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, could we turn to the manager's report and Ms. Denny?
Yes. So from last month's report came true on my promise to do the polar bear plunge, and I would like to say that the police chief was with us, and he really actually showed all of us up with an unbelievable belly smacker into the pool. I believe that the school district last count raised over $16,000 for Special Olympics. I think there was about 10 officers from the police department, somewhere in that realm, that there may have been some tutus and possibly some Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs outfits that went along with this. I went as a scuba diver. It was a pretty easy transition for me. But anyways, it was a good day. I think it was, oh, and Mr. Oakes, he came true on his promise.
And I'd like to thank Mr. Janasak for volunteering me.
Yeah, so I will have
You're
to say
welcome.
that, Mr. Consul Magno and the mayor were there to show their support and shake their head in disbelief. But it was a really good day in Bethel. The high school kids were having a great time with it. A lot of the teachers took part in it, and it was just a really nice day. We did have a wellness fair for our employees here this month, and our focus this year was on mindfulness and stress reduction. So we worked with a lot of vendors in the local area to have different vendors show them, stress management and different mindfulness, and also did a seminar on stress management. We have an industrial park association. We'll be having a meeting with local officials later this month. Our Winners Farmers Market is next month on the 7th, or not next week, excuse me, on the 17th from 4 to 7 o'clock. If you have not been there, please think about coming over. They have some great stuff. And this past weekend, we had a wonderful presentation from Rip Seaback on bits of Bethel Park for the Historic Society.
Is that it?
That's all, sir.
Any questions or comments? Thank you, Ms. Denny. I'd like to now turn to the mayor's report, and Mayor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to mention that on the Polar Plunge, Joe and I were there. At 1:15, thunder and lightning came out, which it did, so we didn't have a chance to do it.
Okay.
Because we would have, right?
I
Mayor,
agree,
Yeah.
Jack. That was, yeah.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
We were ready
It was
for it.
unfortunate.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
So this is the shortest, God bless you. This is the shortest presentation that I'll have all year probably. I came back from Florida just to do this afternoon. So we put the program together, which if everyone got their chronicles, it's right on the second page. Our 20-25 year of community involvement. It's in recognition of contributions that make a difference to Bethel Park, awarded for exemplary service and commitment to excellence. And this month, it goes to South Hills Interfaith Movement. Jim Guffey, if you could come up, please. So Jim, our program has to do with volunteerism, and Jim is always looking for volunteers, so he's gonna put a plug in to see what he can get over at SHIM.
Thank you very much. I won't take too long, Mayor. And to this council body, I did want to say we've been in the municipality now for 17 years. And the administrations, while they've come and gone with different leadership, this administration and all of the prior ones have always been supportive of SHIM in all of our efforts. More so recently with our recent renovation, but whether it's Public Works, the codes and planning, they've been wonderful. I will say the police department has always been a good partner for us over the years, so thank you for making us feel so welcomed here. As the mayor said, since this is a volunteer award, we can always use the bodies to help carry out the work that we do. So whether it's a one-off opportunity or whether it's a multiple commitment that you're willing to make on a weekly basis, there is a role for the community to play at SHIM, and we would welcome anyone to go to our website to look for that. And my final message to all, not only the administration, but to those residents out in the community, if you know of a family that is struggling, having difficulty with food insecurity, keeping the lights on and the heat on, SHIM is here as a resource in the community. We've been here for the 17 years in this community. We've been in the South Hills for nearly 60 years. So by all means, no one should struggle alone. Feel free to refer them to SHIM. We may not have all the answers, but we can certainly help find them to a better path on their way. So thank you for the recognition, Mayor.
Thank you, Jim. And you can stop over anytime to see the organization after the remodeling that they put in. It's quite a building they have, and quite a very organized. So, and that was it. That's all I had.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions for the mayor? Hearing none, I'd like to turn to the approval of minutes, and Mr. Consimagno.
I move to approve the 1/13/25 regular council meeting minutes.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Consimagno and a second from Mr. Janusik that we approve the January 13th, 2025 regular council meeting minutes. Any questions or comments on this item? Ms. Denny, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oates?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinar?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Consimagno.
Bills and payroll, I move to approve bill list 20250210 in the amount of $685,185.38.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Consimagno and a second from Mr. Jenkins that we approve bill list 2025-0210 in the amount of $685,185.38. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, may you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oates?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinar?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Consimagno.
That is all.
Okay. I'd like to turn now to the resident comments for non-agenda items. Is there anybody that wants to speak for non-agenda items only? Okay, hearing none and having no one signed up, I'd like to turn to General Policy and Finance and Mr. Janusik.
Thank you, President Oaks. 4 items for general policy and finance this evening. The 2025 workstation refresh. I move the council approves the payment in the amount of $16,460 from the IT annual workstation upgrade budget, line item 064182542025, for the replacement of 10 HP workstations in 2025.
Second.
I have a motion for Mr. Janusik and a second for Mr. Jenkins that we approve payment in the amount of $16,460 from the IT annual workstation upgrade budget, line item 064182542025, for the replacement of 10 HP workstations in 2025. Any questions or comments on this item?
President Oaks?
Mr. Janusik.
Yes, this is just a standard refresh we do every year. We have to replace some of our laptops and workstations as they get older and age out.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinard?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Janusik.
Second item, the resolution R2-10-25A, disposition of records. I move to approve resolution R2-10-25A for the disposition of records in accordance with the retention and disposition schedule for records of Pennsylvania municipal governments.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Janusik, a second from Mr. Consimagno, that we approve Resolution R2-10-25A for the disposition of records in the accordance with the retention and disposition schedule for records of Pennsylvania municipal governments. Any questions or comments on this item?
Mr. Oaks?
Mr. Janusik.
Yeah, standard disposition of records so that we don't have stuff stacked up. We digitize things so that they're still easily accessible.
Very nice. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Denny, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinard?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Janusik.
Next item, resolution R2-10-25E, open records officer. I move to approve resolution R2-10-25E, appointing Jad Burns as the open records officer for the municipality of Bethel Park and appointing Nancy Garino as the assistant open records officer.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for Mr. Janusik, a second for Mr. Espinard, that we approve Resolution R2-10-25E, appointing Jad Burns as the open records officer for the municipality of Bethel Park and appointing Nancy Garino as the assistant opens record officer. Any questions or comments on this item?
President Oaks?
Mr. Janusik.
Yeah, we're required to have opens records officers in the municipality. We hired Jad Burns as the assistant manager recently, and so he'll be taking over as the open records officer, and Nancy will be the assistant.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much, Jad. Hearing none, Ms. Denny, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinard?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Janusik.
Last item for general policy and finance, the Civil Service Commission alternate ordinance. I move to approve ordinance 2-10-25A, an ordinance to establish alternate members of the Civil Service Commission.
Second.
A motion from Mr. Janusik, a second from Mr. Consimagno, that we approve ordinance 2-10-25A, an ordinance to establish alternate members of the Civil Service Commission. Any questions or comments on this item?
Mr. Oaks?
Mr. Janusik.
Yes, so the Civil Service Commission is a group of 3 individuals, residents of Bethel Park, who help us work through police hirings and that sort of thing. And over the years, we've had 3 members, and without an alternate, it can become troublesome sometimes for everyone to be available all at once. So we thought it would be appropriate to have an alternate so that if any one of those 3 is missing, they can still proceed with their business.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, may you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinard?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Janusik.
Nothing else for general policy and finance, President Oaks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to turn now to health, safety, and welfare, and Ms. Garris.
Thank you. We have a couple of items here tonight. First, I move to approve payments in the amount of $1,000 per month from the IT Police Azure File Server Budget, line item 06418-410-2025 for a new police file server in Microsoft Azure.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Garris, a second from Mr. Consomagno, that we approve payments in the amount of $1,000 per month for the IT Piece Azure File Server Budget, line item 06418-410-2025 for a new police file server in Microsoft Azure. Any questions or comments on this? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, may you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinal?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Garris.
Second, I move to approve a payment in the amount of $86,995 from the Police Equipment MDT's budget, line item 06410-366-2503 for the replacement of 11 police patrol car mobile data terminals, MDTs, in 2025.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Garris, a second from Mr. Consomagno, that we approve a payment in the amount of $86,995 from the Police Equipment MDT's Public Safety Budget, line item 64103662503 for the replacement of 11 police patrol car mobile data terminals, MDTs, in 2025. Any questions or comments on this item? Very quickly, these are the new computers for the police cars. We have to update the technology from time to time to run with our other things, so they all link together. So this is just an upgrade and a refresh for that. Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinal?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Garris.
Third, I move to approve the police department to purchase police equipment, patrol rifles, and accessories from the capital projects budget, line item 0641036-62501 in the amount of $30,000.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Garris, a second from Mr. Jenkins, that we approve the police department to purchase police equipment, patrol rifles, and accessories from the capital project budget, line item 0641036-62501 in the amount of $30,000. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, may you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinal?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Garris.
Fourth, we have the crossing guards agreement. I move to approve the agreement for Bethel Park School crossing guard salaries effective January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2028.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Garris, a second from Mr. Consomagno, that we approve the agreement for the Bethel Park School crossing guard salaries effective January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2028. Any questions or comments on this item? This is our standard reimbursement agreement for the crossing guards, and we'd like to thank them for their service and their help. Ms. Denny, may you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinal?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Garris.
Our final item tonight, I move to approve the purchase of 10 AED units for the police department from the capital budget, line item 06410-366-2502 in the amount of $19,990.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Garris and a second from Mr. Espinar that we approve the purchase of 10 AED units for the police department from the capital budget, line item 06410-366-2502 in the amount of $19,990. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, may you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinal?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Garris.
That is everything this evening.
Thank you very much for taking that this evening. I'd like to turn now to planning and zoning and Mr. Jenkins.
Thanks, Mr. President. We have 3 items tonight. First one is a motion I move to approve Resolution R2-10-25B, a resolution of the Municipality of Bethel Park, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, approving and consenting to the assignment of all the municipality's approvals, licenses, and permits issued for the development known as Bethel Trails Plan of Lots from Phoenix Keystone Group LLC to Bethel Trails Developers LLC.
Second.
A motion for Mr. Jenkins and a second for Mr. Consamagno that we approve Resolution R2-10-25B, a resolution of the Municipality of Bethel Park, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, approving and consenting to the assignment of the municipality's approvals, licenses, and permits issued for the development known as Bethel Trails Plan of Lots from Phoenix Keystone Group LLC to the Bethel Trails Developers LLC. Any questions or comments on this item?
Mr. Oaks.
Mr. Jenkins.
This is the Bethel Trails Plan of Lots out on McMurray Road. Everything's been approved. They're waiting for the weather to get better to start. And this was merely a change in name of the actual company. It's still the same people, same builder and developer, and it'll be a nice addition.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinor?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Jenkins.
Yes, Mr. Oaks. Number B, Resolution R2-10-25C. I move to approve Resolution R2-10-25C, a resolution approving a revision to the official sewage facilities plan for new land development known as the Marshall and Shannon Blair subdivision.
Second.
A motion from Mr. Jenkins and a second from Mr. Consamagno that we approve Resolution R2-10-25C, a resolution approving a revision to the official sewage facilities plan for the new land development known as the Marshall and Shannon Blair subdivision. Any questions or comments on this item?
Mr. Oaks?
Mr. Jenkins.
This is a subdivision on Stoltz Road. The people had a large lot, and they're making it into 2 lots. And this just makes everything official for the sewage plan and the sewage maps.
Very nice. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Denny, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinor?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Jenkins.
Mr. Oaks, the next resolution is very similar. I move to approve Resolution R2-10-25D, a resolution approving a revision to the official sewage facilities plan for new land development known as the San Gimino Repepe Plan of Lots subdivision.
Second.
I have a motion for Mr. Jenkins, a second for Mr. Consamagno, that we approve Resolution R2-10-25D, a resolution approving a revision to the official sewage facilities plan for the new land development known as the San Gimino Repepe Plan of Lots subdivision. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinor?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Jenkins.
Mr. Oaks, I have nothing further this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jenkins. I'd like now to turn to Public Works and Maintenance and Ms. Flynn.
President Oaks, I have quite a few items under Public Works and Maintenance tonight. The first one is the 2024 Stormwater Repair and Replacement Contract. I move to approve the acceptance of the change order 3 in the amount of $35,215 for the pay application number 5.
Second.
A motion from Ms. Flynn, a second from Mr. Consamagno, that we approve the acceptance of change order number 3 in the amount of $35,215 for pay application number 5. Any questions or comments on this item?
President Oaks?
Ms. Flynn.
So this is just for additional work added to replace storm lines and repair a small sinkhole.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Denny, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinor?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn.
The next motion is I move to approve pay application number 5 in the amount of $77,296.75 with $10,530 from the capital budget and $66,766.75 from the operating budget for the 2024 stormwater repair and replacement contract.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Flynn, a second from Mr. Consomagno, that we approve pay application number 5 in the amount of $77,296.75 with $10,530 from the capital budget and $66,766.75 from the operating budget for the 2024 storm sewer repair and replacement contract. Any questions or comments on this item?
President Oaks?
Ms. Flynn?
So this is for storm sewer repair replacement and replacement and repairs at Great Dane Drive, Chestnut Street at the intersection of South Park Road.
Perfect. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consomagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinar?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn?
My next item is the municipal building ADA sidewalk project. I move to approve payment in the amount of $47,516.74 from the capital budget for the ADA sidewalk project.
Second.
A motion from Ms. Flynn and a second for Mr. Consomagno that we approve the payment in the amount of $47,516.74 from the capital budget for the ADA sidewalk project. Any questions or comments on this item?
President Oaks?
Ms. Flynn?
This is just for the sidewalk that's in front of the municipal building.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consomagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinar?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn?
My next item is the Elm Tree Park Storm Water Improvements Project. The first motion, I move to approve invoice 188281 in the amount of $13,805.75 to be paid from capital projects, flood control projects to HRG for the Elm Tree Park Stormwater Improvement Project.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Flynn and a second from Mr. Jenkins that we approve invoice 188281 in the amount of $13,805.75 to be paid from capital projects, flood control projects to HRG for the Elm Tree Park Stormwater Improvement Project. Any questions or comments on this item? Ms. Denny, may you please call the roll?
Mr. Consomagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinar?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn?
My second motion, I move to approve the acceptance of invoice 189275 in the amount of $7,359.06 from capital projects budget, flood control projects to HRG for the Elm Tree Stormwater Improvements Project.
Second.
A motion from Ms. Flynn and a second from Mr. Jenkins that we approve acceptance of invoice number 189275 in the amount of $7,359.06 from the capital projects budget, flood control projects to HRG for the Elm Tree Park Stormwater Improvement Project. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consomagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinar?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn?
My next item, 2025 Public Works Fuel System Upgrade. I move to approve the purchase in the amount of $15,437.65 from the capital budget, line item 06418-430-2025 under Vehicles and Equipment, Public Works Fuel System Upgrade for the Public Works Fuel Upgrade.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Flynn and a second from Mr. Consomagno to approve a purchase in the amount of $15,437.65 from the capital budget, line item 06418-430-2025 under Vehicles and Equipment, Public Works Fuel System Upgrade for the Public Works Fuel Upgrade. Any questions or comments on this item? This is just to upgrade our fuel system that we use to fuel up our public works vehicles, police vehicles, anything in the municipality that we use this fuel system to fuel our vehicles. Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinar?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn.
My next item is the 2024 Storm Sewer CCTV and Cleaning Contract. I move to approve the payment of pay application number 2 to Jet Jack Incorporated in the amount of $4,846.85 from the capital budget for the 2024 Storm Sewer CCTV and Cleaning Contract.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Flynn, a second from Mr. Consomagno, that we approve the payment of pay application number 2 to Jet Jack Incorporated in the amount of $4,846.85 from the capital budget for the 2024 Storm Source CCTV and cleaning contract. Any questions or comments on this item?
President Oaks,
Ms. Flynn,
this is for the maintenance work on the storm sewer.
any other questions or comments? Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinar?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn.
My next item, the demolition of 3204 Comanche Road pay application. I move to approve the payment of Dom Felino Construction LLC in the amount of $21,800 from the capital budget's blight demolition project for the completed demolition of 3204 Comanche Road.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Flynn, a second from Mr. Espinar, that we approve the payment to Dom Felino Construction LLC in the amount of $21,800 from the capital budget's blight demolition project for the completed demolition of 3204 Comanche Road. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinar?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn.
My next item, the Millennium Park field lighting. First motion, I move to approve the acceptance of change order number 2 from Allegheny City Electric Incorporated for a decrease in the contract price in the amount of $25,000.
Second.
A motion from Ms. Flynn, a second from Mr. Consomagno, that we approve the acceptance of change order number 2 from Allegheny City Electric Incorporated for a decrease to the contract price in the amount of $25,000. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinar?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn.
Second motion, I move to approve Allegheny City Electric's pay application number 5 in the amount of $38,024.29 from the capital projects budget field lighting for the work of the Millennium Park field lighting project.
Second.
A motion from Ms. Flynn, a second from Mr. Consomagno, that we approve Allegheny City Electric's pay application number 5 in the amount of $38,024.29 from the capital project budget field lighting for the work of Millennium Park field lighting project. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinar?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn.
Right, 4 more to go. The 2024 Capital Road Program. My first motion, I move to approve the change order number 1 for an increase in the contract price of $3,151.20 to Telegraphus Landscaping.
Second.
A motion from Ms. Flynn, a second from Mr. Consomagno, to accept the change order number 1 for an increase to the contract price in the amount of $3,151.20 to Telegraphics Landscape. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinar?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn.
My second motion, I move to approve Telegraphus Landscapes pay application number 2 and final in the amount of $8,814.95 from the Capital Projects Budget Road Program to close the 2024 landscaping project.
Second.
A motion from Ms. Flynn, a second from Mr. Jenkins, that we approve Telegraphics Landscape Pay Application Number 2 and final in the amount of $8,814.95 from the Capital Projects Budget Road Program to close out the 2024 landscaping project. Any questions or comments on this item? Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinard?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn.
My third motion, I move to approve Meal and Sons pay application number 2 in the amount of $190,000 and $184.68 for the Capital Projects Budget Road Program for the work for the 2024 road program.
Second.
A motion from Ms. Flynn, a second from Mr. Espinard, that we approve Mealy and Sons Pay Application Number 2 in the amount of $190,184.68 from Capital Projects Budget Road Program for the work on the 2024 road program. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinard?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn.
My next item is the Highland Road and Oxford Drive improvements pay application number 3 and final. I move to approve change order number 3 for the Highland Road and Oxford Drive improvement project for a credit in the amount of $2,470.
Second.
A motion from Ms. Flynn, second from Mr. Consolmagno, that we approve change order number 3 for the Highland Road and Oxford Drive Improvement Project for a credit in the amount of $2,470. Any questions or comments on this item?
That's a credit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good.
Ms.
You don't have
Denny?
to get credits, yeah.
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinard?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn.
My second motion, I move to approve Michael Fasciano Contracting Incorporated's pay application number 3 and final for the Highland Road and Oxford Drive improvement project in the amount of $18,120. Oh my God, I can't speak tonight. I'm sorry. $126.50 in the capital budget Oxford Drive Island project.
Second.
A motion from Ms. Flynn, a second from Mr. Jenkins, that we approve Michael Fasciano Contracting Incorporated pay application number 3, final, for the Highland Road and Oxford Drive Improvement Project in the amount of $18,126.50 from the Capital Budget's Oxford Drive and Highland Island Project. Any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinard?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn.
The next item, Jet Jack Incorporated final payment application. I move to approve final payment to Jet Jack Incorporated for pipelining services at the wastewater treatment plant in the amount of $13,250.12 from the environmental sewer system budget line item Painters Run Sewer Shed 20-436-867.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Flynn, a second from Mr. Consolmagno, that we approve final payment to Jet Jack Incorporated for pipelining services at the wastewater treatment plant in the amount of $13,250.12 from the environmental sewer system budget line item Painters Run Sewer Shed 20-436-867. Any questions or comments? Very quick, this is part of our consent order and transfer agreement that we spend some money on improvements in the Painters Run Sewer Shed as part of our agreement. If there's no other questions or comments, Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinard?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn.
My final item tonight East West Manufacturing and Supply Company Incorporated purchase of the HVAC system for the gymnasium in the community center. I move to approve the purchase of the HVAC system 40T DX cooling system for the gymnasium located in the community center from East West Manufacturing at the cost of $90,500 with monies from the reserves.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Flynn, a second from Mr. Espinard, that we have approved the purchase of an HVAC system, 40T DX cooling system for the gymnasium located in the community center from East West Manufacturing at the cost of $90,500 with monies from reserves. Any questions or comments on this item?
President Oaks.
Ms. Flynn?
So ordering this now gives us enough lead time to get the product in and installed in time for the summer.
Very much, or thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Denny, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Yes.
Mr. Janusik?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Espinard?
Yes.
Ms. Garris?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Flynn?
President Oaks, I have no other items tonight under.
You should get an
Public Works
award.
and
Thank you very much for taking that long Public Works segment. Hearing none, for the good of the order, if there's nothing else, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.